Let me give you another example of doing what's right even when it's not easy. I'm going to tell you about the absolute worst boss I've ever had in my entire life. Do you know who that is for you? This is quite interesting because he wasn't always the worst boss. We started off as colleagues. In fact, we had a friendship. We had brainstorming sessions that were going quite well. I was his go-to guy, so he trusted me to get work done. He told me all the time about the 2 kids that he has. We even went out for drinks one evening, and we had a lovely picture of us at the bar drinking. So we had this camaraderie going. Then, one day, he calls me into his office one morning, and I walk into this huge office. It's the 7th floor of the high-rise building. I see the sun gleaming off of his mahogany desk, and I look through the windows, and I remember seeing a beautiful building out back. This office of my boss on the 7th floor, it overlooked the busiest and most well-known bar and restaurant street in all of the city of Rotterdam. This is regarding a tech company I work for in Rotterdam, Netherlands, not too far from Amsterdam, 2018 through 2019. So he motions me to his desk, and I walk up, and I see papers strewn everywhere, a total mess. And that picture of us from the bar where we were both drinking and had our arms around one another, it was buried underneath all these papers, and that bar was now closed. I go around the big mahogany desk, and first thing I see is he has more than 7,000 unread emails. Wow. I also saw his beard was a bit scruffy and unkept, and he was also wearing the same clothes for the 4th business day in a row. He says to me, "Jeff, I need you to create the strategy for our company because the investors are coming to our office." He then turned back to his screens and he started going through all this stuff. He said, "I need these facts and these figures and these documents and these spreadsheets." And I'm listening to him, and I thought, okay, I need about 4 weeks minimum, maybe like 5 or 6 weeks. And he turns to me, and his hand was trembling, I remember, and he says, "I need it in 4 business days." I'm about to say something back to him, and his eyes narrow at me, so I hesitated for a split second. Then I was going to say something, but his phone started buzzing, his emails went off the hook, and he shooed me out of the office, so I had to quickly leave the office. I'm the go-to guy, let me do it. So I dive right in. I'm doing the research, I have the strategy going, and my boss comes over to my desk, arms folded, a frown, a scowl on his face. Now, as he's doing that, he's dead silent, and there's sweat accumulating on my neck, going down my back. He leans in and he says, "Jeff, this is all wrong." And I feel my stomach go into knots, and he just storms away. So I had to start from scratch. Next thing I saw my boss just before lunch. We both bumped into each other right atop the stairs that funnel right into the cafeteria. And his face was blood red hot like the devil. And he said to me, "Jeff, I expected more from you. I thought you were smarter than this. I thought you were better than this." He was yelling. Other people saw it. I was embarrassed. He said, "Come on, you can do better." And he stormed away. My anxiety shot in a million different directions. I went to lunch. I don't even remember what I ate because my monkey mind went in a million different directions. Scurried back to my desk, and I remember I just slumped down in my chair, and I felt not good enough. Have you ever had doubts or demons, and then someone criticized you and it sort of confirmed those demons, and then you felt not good enough? Because that's exactly what was happening to me in that moment. And it was interesting because even as I felt not good enough, I also sort of had empathy for my boss because he was also struggling, and he also had a failing relationship with the CEO. Now I'm back at the office again, last day before the investors come. I'm working my butt off. I'm pounding energy drinks like I'm notorious to do. All my colleagues leave. I'm the last one there. And then I realized, oh crap. I had an anniversary date planned with my girlfriend. And we had planned this like 2.5 months in advance. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to really ruin the vibe at home if I cancel on this. But I was all in at this point with the strategy. So I picked up my phone and I messaged my girlfriend and I said, "I'm so sorry, I need to cancel our anniversary date." And she quickly messaged back, and she says, Jeff, I'm not angry, but I am disappointed. And by the way, I'm really worried about you. You're working like crazy, you're not sleeping. This is not healthy, what you're doing. I knew she was right, but I mentioned that feeling of not feeling good enough, and then finally I see my boss in the room. He's dead silent, no expression whatsoever. There's my boss, there's another executive, and there are 2 team leads. One of the team leads next to me, he speaks up in this meeting, and he says, okay, so the investors are not coming to our offices for another 9 days, in about a week and a half. And at first I had an error, like, wait, what? The investors already, I couldn't even understand what he was saying, and then it hit me. Oh, my boss lied to me. He lied to me about when the investors were coming to get all this work out of me in the short run. What happened next is completely absurd. My boss looks at me and he starts yelling at me, and as he's yelling at me, he has the whole room sweating harder than a kid at the principal's office. And he says, Jeff, you should not have been working on all of this strategy. We have something else we need to be doing. Why weren't you doing that? And he was completely contradicting himself. And he says this, I'm in the moment, and for a moment I gather myself. This is too far. I didn't impulsively flip out on the guy. I didn't impulsively react, but I thought, this is too far. And I decided I was going to stand up for myself. I look my boss straight in the eyes, and I say, sir, you are the worst boss ever, and a horrible leader. He's speechless. Most people didn't really stand up to the guy. They were too scared of him. I felt scared. I was like, oh no, I snapped. Why am I sharing this? Well, I took some things from this. This was obviously not a pleasant experience, but there are some leadership insights that I pulled, and hey, why don't I share some of them with you? First of all, don't lie. My boss blatantly lied. Now, I do have empathy for why he lied. He had a struggling relationship with the CEO, and he also felt not good enough in general. So it was a little bit ironic because we were both feeling not good enough, me and my boss. But that doesn't also excuse the behavior. He blatantly lied. Lying is easy in the short run, but it will bite you in the ass in the long run, because my boss not only got in trouble with me and some of my colleagues, but also the CEO. It doesn't work. Authentic leaders are not going to lie. Another tip that I got from this, just giving you some ideas here, take it or leave it if you resonate or don't. Get over yourself. Let me explain what I mean by that. One other thing that I share while we're on this is my boss had a hidden agenda. This is just how he constantly operated. He would say one thing, he would do another. He'd make a promise, he wouldn't keep that promise. He said the investors were coming on this day, they are really coming on this day. Constant hidden agenda. It didn't work. I'm not up here for us to all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. I'm up here because I know for a fact that authentic leadership works. And when you have a hidden agenda, it doesn't really allow for collaboration, for communication, and for ultimately team success to occur. One last thing I'll share with you before I move into the final story of our time here. I did leave my values a little bit. One of my core values, and I've always lived this way, is to stay even-keeled, never too up, never too down. And I let him bring me down. Because in that meeting, I didn't yell, but I was raising my voice. I was visibly upset. Other people in the room felt a bit uncomfortable. I let him bring me into the mud. Maybe this can be a value to you. Don't stoop to someone else's level. Don't let them drag you into the mud. Don't let them pull you down. That's something that I had indeed let this man do. One more story I'd like to share before we bring this all together and I share some more ideas and insights is regarding a collaboration I had with a computer programmer that went horribly wrong. This is at the same company, the tech company in Rotterdam that I worked for 2018 through 2019. And it happened after all of this nonsense happened with my boss. Computer programmer is also known as a developer, and we'll refer to him from here on out as Ralph. That is not his real name. I did change his name to protect his privacy.